y'all don't have to be out in this cold weather so long, and because I hear there's supposed to be snow about 4 or 5 o'clock. I'd like to call Dee Conway, Dog Heights, to come up from Scout Mission. Need a mic, or you have to stand behind that where he is. Thank you.
Hi, welcome. My name is Dee Conway. I am the oldest child of Charles Conway, also known as Dog Heights. I'm a member of the Puyallup Nation, and I would like to welcome you, and I thank you for your support. Give yourselves a big hand. We made it. Such a cool day. Thank you. It's great to see everybody here. I can't wait to hear all these stories again. I've heard them all my life, and I'd like to mention that, that's the best way we can keep it strong, is for everybody to share their stories and show up to these rallies. Tell what you experienced. Tell everybody. It's good to keep it alive. Leonard was in prison for fighting for our rights, to practice our traditions and practice our way of life. And I thank you all for supporting. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Ramona Bennett. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Patricia's dad was with us throughout the movement. They called him Dog Heights, but his name was actually Chuck Conway, and he was one of my earliest little childhood friends. That's how old he was. Leonard is a symbol, and but I want you to always remember he's more than a symbol. He's a guy, and a good guy. Most of you have been at these rallies before, and most of you know the story, but I'm going to just tell it again anyway. Leonard was very successful, like Chief Leshai, who was well off. He didn't need anything. He had a very successful business, and the way we met him is that he had an auto shop up in Seattle, 8 bays. How many of you know anything about mechanics? An 8-bay shop. I mean, this guy had 4 for mechanical, 4 for auto body. He had a crew working. He had income. And when Allison and I went to see if he'd help us with our vehicles, because of course we had Indian cars, we were in the movement, so we didn't have any money. We went to see him, and when we walked into his shop, we both jumped back because we were in a war with all of the law enforcement agencies. In his shop, about half the vehicles were police cars. He had the contract with Seattle City Police to maintain their vehicles. Now, that's big tala, that's income. This guy was successful. But we had heard, and we knew, that any time an elder, I wasn't an elder then, but any time an elder had a busted fan belt or a flat tire, or their regulator couldn't be kicked back into action, he used to kick regulators. How many of you are old enough to even remember that? The alternator and regulator were separate. You could kick your regulator and make it work. And even your headlights, you could kick them and make them work. But, if all else failed, they'd go, somebody would call Leonard, and he'd grab a fan belt, a can of gas, and he'd head out and rescue them. Just, any Indian from anywhere, it didn't even matter if he heard there was an Indian elder in trouble, off he'd go. And so you know, we knew he believed in his Indian people, and so we asked him for that help, and he helped us. You know, he got our cars back on the road, kind of, you know, kept a good eye out for us. Well, when we set up Puyallup Camp now, Leonard come down with a case of beer looking for someone to party with. Nobody's gonna laugh. and he really said to me, "Why are you so serious? Why are you so serious?" See, this wasn't no militant, radical, crazy, for the movement guy. He just loved Indians in a good way, and you know, so we had known him at Fort Lawton. Do any of you know about Fort Lawton? Who knows about Fort Lawton? Okay, where Daybreak Star. How many of you know where Daybreak Star is? Okay. Before Daybreak Star was Daybreak Star, it was Fort Lawton, and it was being surplused by the government. And of course, any governmental property that's being surplused is supposed to revert back to the Indians. And so we had presented a proposal for what we would do with Fort Lawton. We, Indian people, would do with Fort Lawton when we got it back, because we were very big-headed and believed we could get it all back. And so Leonard was part of those invasions. And if any of you have seen the movie As Long as the Rivers Run, he's one of the people in Fort Lawton in front of that teepee just before the MPs came out with the flamethrowers and rocket launchers. But we had climbed up that bluff that night. The people that scouted our trail for us to do that little invasion at Fort Lawton were Gary Bray and David Leach. They were Colville Indians. They were Plains Indians, and they had scouted the path for us. It was along the beach. But see, they were Colville, so they didn't know about tides. And so when we were going in now, the water was, you know, about 8 feet deep, you know, up to these bulkheads. And so we had to travel through people's yards. We came down the hill, and then to get to the bluff that we were going up, we had to go through people's yards, and of course they were all fenced off. And so Leonard was right with me, and he lifted me over all those fences. And of course I didn't know we were doing an invasion that night, so I had on cute little sandals. Very, very practical for invasions, especially when you have to climb a bluff about as high as that building across the street. It's very steep. So anyway, I don't know why we had Colvilles doing our scouting, but anyway, it's like. So anyway, there we were at the bottom of the bluff. We climbed up the bluff. Fortunately, there were some tree roots and toe holes, and we got up to the top. And then that's, you know, that's when we were attacked by the MPs. And you know, there are lots of stories, but the one thing I remember is Carol Burns, who had one short leg and had an elevated shoe, had climbed up that bluff. She was filming all the way, and when those MPs started coming at us with all of their armament, she it was reel to reel back then. You know, films weren't, you couldn't do like one of the sticks these days or a CD. They were huge, and she didn't want to lose all of her footage, and so she was scared that she was going to lose her film. And there was this guy, what was his name, Sue? Dean Pellegrini, or was it Pellegrini? Wow, it still works? Yeah, Dean Pellegrini said, I'm AWOL, I've got to get out of here. And I said, take the film. And so Dean took this film. Well, he'd come up the hill, so he knew how it was. And so he hopped off the edge, and he used his heels like you would ski, you know, break yourself skiing, or snowboarding, or anybody snowboard? Anybody ski? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Well, you can use the edges to slow yourself down. And so he hopped off the edge. He's got this big old film. He's kind of a little guy. And he's on his heels, and he's going down the hill. Well, these MPs said, hey, he's got something. Get him, get him. And they all came running across the field and jumped. Here's all these MPs rolling down the hill. Dean was gone, or there wouldn't be a film as long as the rivers run. I'm just letting you guys know that. Anyway, what happened down the trail is the elders at Pine Ridge on the Oglala Reservation were regarded as the traditionals, and their houses were being shot up. They were being raided and ramboed, and beat up and arrested, and their stuff was being destroyed, and people were being killed. There were 83 Indians killed on that reservation that year, and not one conviction. Not one conviction. The goon squad, their law enforcement back there, didn't even bother to investigate. They really didn't care. But when Leonard got the call that elders needed help, back he went. And, you know, that basically was the end of his life, because he's been in a cage pretty much so ever since. I think that, has Arthur spoke yet? Okay. Arthur's got the whole nitty-gritty on how many ways this is wrong. So many ways that it's wrong. But I will tell you that we went to Canada when they extradited him. We actually smuggled him to Canada, but that's quite another story. Anyway, I went to Kansas City, Missouri for one of the appeals, and I know from murder trials that I've attended that you are not allowed, if you're in that audience, you are not allowed to have an expression, to make a sound. You are not allowed to do that, or they will clear everybody out of the court. But at his appeal, every FBI wife and mother and child were lined up in the front row, and anything I said, they'd go, well, just so damn many sound effects. I use the expression enough to gag a maggot. It was ugly. I mean, it was totally ugly. And the judge did not boot them all out. They all got to stay and just act like that. And I saw that with my eyes. And the extradition, at the extradition hearing, so that was also a load of crap. Leonard is a good guy. He isn't even guilty. And even if he was, that was a war zone. And what you do in a time of war is try to protect yourself and the people you love. And that's all as far as this, that's all I have to say about that. Oh, besides, thank you for coming and thank you for loving Leonard. He's really worth it, you guys.
I like your bold decision, 40 years. Whoa. Woo-hoo, 40 years.
I keep this on in case I forget who I am.
In all those different, that movie, As Long as the Rivers Run, you'll see her with her bangs and her raccoon eyes that she used to have back in those days. That's neither here nor there. Leonard did do a lot in Seattle and in South Dakota. I went with them when we used to do the good old caravan days and head back there and do the different things that we don't even talk about. And we did it well. We come back here and we had an AIM house up in Seattle on 23rd and Yesler. And Leonard would have different guys that were coming in out of the prisons and other guys that were coming into the city come and stay with us at the AIM house, and he would teach them how to do roofing in exchange for cars. So we would have cars that were going to go do the caravans and stuff, and also to help those guys get on their feet and to get jobs. So he could do movement work, rehabilitation work, if that's what you needed to call it, and make sure people's needs were being met. We had gotten a call to go up to Canada to, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, the Kootenai Salish people, Bonner's Landing, and AIM was being asked to get up there, and we were trying to get out of town, and as fast as somebody gets a hold of somebody, those feds would always be right on top of it. They stopped everybody pretty much so at Mercer Island and was trying to turn them around. Some of the guys did get through, and my poor jacket got killed by that river, but that's another whole story too. Back in those days of the AIM house, I met a nice young man who I'm going to ask to come up and speak next. Excuse my voice, I've had a bad cold. And he was just a little boy back then, standing around, and we'd all be mobilizing, having to go after his dad and do all kind of stuff. And that's Chauncey Peltier. I'd like him to come up. This is Leonard's son. And Chauncey, can you come up and speak for a few minutes?
Thanks everybody for showing up and supporting Leonard. I'm glad you're all here. First of all, I want to say that it's 2014. 39 years Leonard's been in prison for fabricated evidence, falsified ballistics. It goes on and on. They couldn't even frame the man right. They screwed that up. This here is just a matter of justice. It don't matter what color you are. This should count for all Americans. The man's rights were broken. The man's rights were falsified. They did everything. They've harassed his family. It goes on and on. The man needs to be free. So whatever happened to justice in America? Where's the justice? If you got money, you get justice. Lots of money, you get justice. Nowadays, when you go to court, they know what's going to happen to you before you even go in there. We're going to get this guy and we're going to hang that guy, unless you got a big stack of cash. Unless you're related to a judge or somebody important. Unless you're an Indian, you're screwed. But Leonard's been in there for going on 40 years now. It's way too long. America's always bragging about justice. We all need to see some justice. Here's a man who's been in prison for 40 years. They couldn't even convict him. They couldn't even frame him right. They screwed all that up. They still won't let him out. I don't know. I had a lot to say. I'm not too good of a speaker, but I talked to Leonard before Christmas. He said he'd just like to go home. I guess he was a bad Indian, so he's got to go back to the fort and hang out, you know, like they did to us in the old days. Go put that Indian back on the reservation. He was a bad Indian. We'll put him back here. 2014, you're still doing that shit to us. You know? Keep those Indians on the reservation over there, the bad ones. Don't let them say nothing. I don't know. What happened to freedom of speech? Huh? Well, I guess if you got a lot of money, you could have some freedom of speech. I don't know. All I know is I miss my dad. I want him home. And you're only human if you admit your faults. You know, the government, they wrongfully convicted him. They did everything that they could to keep that man in prison. You know, talking about harassment. I was 10 years old in Canada when they were searching us and bringing us in that room. I had 10 years old. I have a FBI agent force me up against the wall, spread my legs, and say, whispers in my ear, "I'm going to see your dad never gets out of prison." Before he was even in jail, before he even went to court. Right there tells you they were doing everything they could to frame this man. You know? Where's justice? Huh? No justice for Leonard Peltier. It just goes on and on. All I can say is if you read both sides of it, there's no reason why this man should be in prison. I've had friends that come up to me and said, "Chance, I've read their side and I've read your side, the Indian side. Why is that man in prison?" I hear my dad say he went for the parole board. He said, "You had me in here for shooting 2 FBI agents. Then you had me in for aiding and abetting the killer." He said, "I've been in here for 38 years. Aiding and abetting the killer's only an 8-year sentence. What do you have on the books? Why am I in here?" Denied. Threw him back in the can. There's justice. Okay. All right. I don't know what else to say, but I got something here. Free Leonard Peltier, yes. Yes. Free Leonard. Free Leonard Peltier. Man's been locked up long. You know, you don't even have to like the man. You know, saying this because my dad, you don't even have to like him. It's just a matter of justice for America. That's all. You know? Justice. Does everybody want justice? That's what we're here for. This is supposed to be the land of the free and the proud. Who's free and who's proud? Huh? People with money, government, feds, all those crooked bastards. They're the ones that are free. Who takes care of the Indians anymore? They promise us everything, and they don't give a shit. I hurt myself. I go to the dang Indian clinic, and they can't even help us because they said, "We don't got all that money Obama promised us." So I got to walk out with a busted hip and go to a different Indian clinic and got some help. But where's all this money? For schooling, education, helping natives? Where's it at, Obama? Maybe he could stand up and be a man and free Leonard. Maybe he could do that right. He promises everybody. He promises his people stuff. He promised our people stuff. He promised everybody stuff. Let's see if he can hold up to his word. Let's see if he can honor his people. See if he can be proud. Maybe. Hope so. I got some black friends that are pretty proud. I hope he can be proud. Otherwise, he might kind of embarrass those guys. But all right. Well, anyways,
We're going to have Arthur come up to be a next speaker. Arthur Miller, can you come up here? Leonard had a message and something he talk to Arthur about becoming Sean.
He's got a,
And you're speaking after giving the name.
do you want to read this or do you want me to, Arthur?
I can't read it out loud.
You can. You want me to do it or you do it? You can do it.
Well, I'll try,
Okay.
all right? But work with me. I'm one of those 9th grade education Indians, so you guys gotta have to work with me. I know I always say it this way. Friends, relatives, supporters, and all that, but in reality, you all are my relatives. I know when we sweat lodge, we always say all my relations. And when we come out, we say all my relations. And at the end of my letters, I say, I'm sorry. And that means all my relations. I can deeply thankful for you, my relatives. So many of these days.
Want me to read it?
Somebody else read this. Vivi, you read this good. She was reading it to me up here, so. Sorry.
So many of these days have come and gone, and it probably seems like I say the same things over and over, but you have to realize that for 38 years, every day for me is much the same, over and over and over and over. And for many of the indigenous people, their struggles against this world of technology and corporations is the same over and over and over. I watch the news and it says the Christians against the Muslims and the Chinese against the Tibetans and relatives against relatives in some of these countries. I cannot help but think, how does this keep happening? I know for a fact that the average Muslim in this homeland has nothing against a Christian, nor a Christian against a Muslim in regards to their religion. In America, Native people have nothing against non-Native people for religious reasons. I guess what I am trying to say is what we have in common is the belief in the right to pursue happiness in a respectful way. And I know the average person here in America has no reason to quarrel with any person in another land for religious reasons. Can you imagine your children fighting with each other over how they would talk to you or respect you or seek your attention? It would hurt your heart deeply if they were killing one another for these reasons. What I am trying to say to you is, don't let corporations and money seekers destroy our commonality using religion as the excuse to take our lands and our resources. All too often, people wanting the resources of another people send in soldiers to destroy the infrastructure of a people. A lot of times they will attack one group in the name of another, and then attack the other group in the name of the one most recently attacked, causing a divide. This not only happens in nations, but it happens on the most fundamental levels of organizations seeking to liberate themselves from oppression. There are those who would spread rumors attempting to discredit and to try to divide people from each other. But we must keep in mind what we want to achieve and cultivate our friendships and respect for one another. We must respect the efforts of others and remember that words can bring joy and they can also bring pain and disunity. I am saying these things because for me, at this juncture of my life, I am involved in probably my last possible chance at freedom. The people I have gathered around me are people I know and trust. They are my choice and I want that to be respected. Throughout Indian country and throughout the world, there are people who struggle for freedom daily. America has more people in prison than all the rest of the world put together. The judicial system in America most obviously has become an industry and not a tool for seeking justice. These things that we face will not change unless we, the common people, stand in unison against these wicked affronts to our right, to pursue happiness and live in a world that is not governed by ethics, based on obtaining wealth. I like to say things that would make you laugh and be encouraging, and when you gather together, remember the cause that I am evidence of, the cause of putting an end to violations of your constitutional rights. I want you to be cheerful and happy, but I also want you to know quite truthfully that throughout the history of mankind, defending freedom and justice must be done in every generation. I am 69 years old and I have done the best I could from where I am at. And I will continue to do so, and I encourage you to do so. Many people in the course of a lifetime and in the pursuit of spirituality may come to a belief, or perhaps I should say, a realization that there is something in their life that they are called to do. If for some reason you have never had such a feeling and you wanted to know what that was all about, you could, without any pursuit of spirituality, just using common sense, look around at the possibilities that face us. The depletion of our natural world, the loss of drinking water, clean air, natural foods, and you will find cause to be involved in protecting those things and preventing the further destruction of our natural earth and nature. You could become involved in trying to save some of the endangered species. You could look at the newborn baby and ask yourself, what future awaits them? If this suicidal destruction of our natural earth continues, we may not destroy the earth, but we could end up destroying the nature that we were designed to live within. I think it is important that within your thinking, if you want to do something to make things better, you should make up your mind if you are willing to do it all by yourself or not, and then do the very best you can. And I know others will join you who have the same insight and spiritual feelings that you have developed. We were created and born within a circle of life, and all nature in that circle of life is dependent upon one another. We must join together and repair that circle of life within our family and community circles. We, as a common people, as descendants of other indigenous peoples, no matter where we are from, need each other. And if some 69-year-old man in prison can end up having his words read to you in a meeting like this, I absolutely know that you can do much better. May the Great Spirit bless you and give you strength and friends to share your labors and happiness with and the knowledge and perseverance to help regain the things that we as citizens of the earth have lost, and the strength to protect what we have left, and the foresight to prevent any future losses. I sincerely hope at this time next year I can be at one of these meetings with you and we can have a good time together. And until then, give one another a good hug for me, your relative always, in all ways, in the spirit of Crazy Horse, Leonard Peltier, Mitakuyeasi.
Thank you, Phoebe. Dad sent me that to read the statement, and he wanted me to honor Arthur with his painting for all the years of support. He sent this for me to give to Arthur Miller for all his years of support. And Dad thanks you, I thank you. Thanks, Arthur. You're the ultimate man in my book, brother. Right on. Thank you, guys. Here's Arthur.
I wish to thank you all for coming out today on this pleasant cold day, and when I think about somebody saying something nice to me like that, I have to stop and think about all the people that have been with us over the years. This is the 18th time we've done this in Tacoma. Throughout the Northwest, we've held 67 marches since 1992, and we're committed to work with everybody throughout our region. We consider everybody throughout our region important and an essential part of this event or any of the events we ever have. I want to start off acknowledging Sue Morales over there. So many years. And when she does this for us, for Leonard and for us, she does so in pain. You know, she's an inspiration to anybody that is around us. When I see elders like Ramona Bennett, year after year after year, I can listen to her and just write down all these great thoughts that she's given me over time, and those are the type of directions that I personally take as an organizer. Our good friend here, Steve Happy, over 20 years Steve's been doing this. He was right out of college, and he's still doing that. You know, talk about an inspiration, you know, for future generations. You just look at Steve, a fine speaker, a fine worker, and he did something that, they say that pride is one of the things that ain't all that good or something, but maybe pride in what somebody else has done maybe is. Steve delivers food for Native families on reservations in need. When they shut down the government, Steve and his co-workers kept delivering the food even though they weren't getting a paycheck. That is where our survival is. That is where this whole thing that Leonard's been talking about in that letter comes. That's what you got to do on a daily basis. When I heard that about Steve, I was so proud of him. Here was this guy for 20 years I've known, and as far as I'm concerned, he walked on water after he did that. There's so many other people. Dee, our younger member of our group, is so inspirational to watch her come out. I knew her father, and now to see her, that just makes me feel like it's all been worth it, if for no other reason than to see you people. In recent times, they've been talking about whistleblowers. They've been trying to send them to prison, shut them up, suppress them, everything in the world. Because the problem is that those in power and wealth don't want you to know what they're doing. They don't want you to know that they're not just seizing the records, emails, all the phone and everything of just somebody that could be Islamic terrorists or something. They're getting all of us and they're using it. When they set up the no-fly list, these are people that they wouldn't let on airplanes. I was terrified and outraged at the same time when 3 nuns in Colorado couldn't get on an airplane because they opposed the war in Iraq. That's what they don't want you to know about, all these things that they're doing under the table. This is not a free and open society. If you start speaking out and exposing what's really going on, they will try to come down and suppress you. And that's where we get to Leonard. Leonard is an incredible guy. I like him over anything else because in dealing with him, he seems like such a normal person. He isn't, high up in the clouds or something. You talk to him and you're like you have a friend hanging on the corner. He's a good guy. But he's also stood strong for so many years. He's an inspiration to us. And we all love Leonard for who he is. But there's more to Leonard's case than that. Leonard's case is by far the most important political case in the history of this damn country. Without a doubt. And I say that as an activist who has spent his time since 1968 working on political prisoner cases. I've studied them through history. And the reason why Leonard's case is so important, AIM and others back in those days didn't fully understand what they were doing, why the government was so afraid of them. And it includes what was being done here, the fishing struggles, Cascadia and everything. Why did they send so much money on a repressive gun squad in South Dakota? Why did they have so many agents and everything? Did they really want this dusty land that previously they said they did not want? You can stay there, we don't want it. Well, what happened is when they made the reservations and forced the original people of this land on them, they weren't thinking in terms of minerals. The mineral exploitation ripoff of native land in this country is by far the biggest financial scandal, if it ever could come out, that it would pass all the things, savings and loans, even what happened a couple years ago with the bank. None of that comes close. The amount of money ripped off by the United States government from the people on the land is in the billions. Nobody can even calculate it. And even when they make token gestures, like Congress tried to pay for the Black Hills, the Lakota people said, no, we won't take money for that land. That's what they feared. What AIM did, what the fishing struggles did, Cascadia and everything else here and Fort Lawton and everything, is it put a spotlight on a part of America that the vast majority of people had no comprehension what was going on there. They did not know that the land was continually being ripped off. They didn't know that every single treaty was violated. They did not know about the termination programs, the forced sterilization programs, the outlaw of religion programs. Right up here, north of us, northeast of us, is a great waterfalls. Down below the waterfalls, there used to be long ago 7 longhouses, smoke houses. How many know about them being burned down? How many of them know about Chief Flesheye as Ramona pointed out? And all these things that America knows about that, but they don't know how it was created, how they got it, how it was robbed. It wasn't taught in the schools. The schools will teach you about kings and queens and other people, but they won't teach the truth. And what AIM did and other people is they put a spotlight on America, the truth, and that scared the holy hell out of those people. That's why they came down on AIM. That's why after Wounded Knee, over 500 AIM people found themselves charged with this crime or that crime. Most of the charges they never got a conviction of. That is why they came down on Leonard and the encampment on that day, because there was something in Pine Ridge that they wanted, and that was uranium. In the northwest corner of Pine Ridge, they found high-grade uranium. On the same day as the FBI invaded that encampment, Dickie Wilson, a corrupt tribal chairperson who was only elected by extreme corruption, later lost his chairmanship because of that, was in Washington, D.C. signing away that section of the reservation. You wonder why they take the Constitution and the laws of this land and tear it up in the case of Leonard? Because they are afraid of Leonard. They're afraid of you. They're afraid of you, the people, learning the truth. And if people learn the truth, that this has been a continuing process since Columbus stepped on the shores of North America or the Caribbean, and it continues today. We don't say, feel for the past, because there'll be time for that. What we say is stop doing it today. Not 100 years ago, stop doing it today. They can go to South Africa and say fantastic words about Nelson Mandela, and Nelson Mandela went through quite a bit. But we all here today know that those people were lying through their teeth as long as Leonard Peltier sits in a prison cell.
Right.
They were liars, out and out liars. You could not lie any more than they did when they talked about Nelson Mandela. Because see, the thing about Nelson Mandela, what that was all about was the indigenous people of South Africa were invaded from the outside. And those people who invaded them set up a form of government that tried to control everything in their life. Does that kind of sound familiar? And then the people, the indigenous people of South Africa rose up, and people around the world joined them. They talk about Mandela, but what was the first thing when they started in the direction of reconciliation with Mandela? They freed the political prisoners. Obama, how about freeing the political prisoners, Leonard Peltier, right now? Each and every one of us is important in the struggle. It's a very hard struggle. I've been with Leonard for 35 years now, and I can tell you, each one of these rallies and everything is hard. But we do it because we're not only just fighting for Leonard, but we're fighting for the future. When we look at our children, we think about the future generations to come. We give them the world that they come into. And that world is determined by our actions. The most important people in this land are the people themselves. And together, you all can change it. Everything that has been changed in this country has come about from the people struggling in the streets, in their communities, workplaces, or whatever. You talk about any advancement, civil rights, women, whatever you want to talk about, the environment. That wasn't nice politicians with morally feeling bunny hugger sympathies. What it was is they saw what was happening and they changed because they knew they had to. That's where we got to put Leonard's case and struggle. We got to make them understand that they have to free Leonard because they have to. Because if they don't, we'll keep telling our friends, telling our neighbors, telling our groups and organizations about Leonard, and we will eventually succeed. I have never had any doubt in that in 35 years. I wish to thank you all for coming here, to me and to everybody that is organizing it. You are the most important people here, not the speakers, but you. Because you can take Leonard's case and make a difference with it in your daily life. We don't ask you to stop everything else what you're doing, because first off, repression has to do with trying to stop the activities and resistance of the people. If we stop doing that for a political prisoner, then they've won. We got to keep struggling. Rather, what we ask you to do is include Leonard in those other things you do. If you belong to an organization, get that organization, pass a resolution in support of Leonard. If it's a union, a church, whatever, get them to speak out. Keep putting pressure on them. And together we will be with Leonard in a free rally where we can celebrate with him rather than having this grotesque tragedy continue. Thank you very much for the well-being of all.
Many times. I'd like to point out that I think that the federal government is seriously afraid to let him out because they violate the first article, paragraph 2 in our treaty, which states if a bad man among the whites or among other people subject to the authority of the United States shall commit any wrong upon the person or property of the Indians, the United States will, upon proof made, which has been made several times, by the way, to the agent and forwarded to the Commissioner of Indian Affairs at Washington City, proceed at once to cause the offender to be arrested and punished according to the laws of the United States, and also reimburse the injured person for the loss sustained. That right there, they've never honored it. Who's supposed to help us with this? It's very frustrating. I was raised off of the reservation. My grandma was in the boarding school. My dad was sent off the reservation and told not to lose the weight. I grew up here. This is the oppression and the internalized genocide of everything that's happened to our people. But I feel like I was born in this place today so that I can fight with these words that they gave us. And I'm ready to. I know their game. I took business law. I know there's a lawyer out here willing to help me. I don't have any money. I lost my job for doing a march for saving the water to help the Lummies. That's fine. We need to come together because, as Leonard said, we're all in trouble, we're all one. We need to be doing this together. Now, David Reichert is my congressman. I write him. I do these things that everybody tells me works. This system that I grew up in, that is supposed to protect us, this justice that is supposed to be here. It's not. David Reichert, I went to high school with his son. My daughter dated his grandson. I've written him. I will show up at his house if I can't get the meeting that I've been requesting from him because I do know where he lives. So Reichert, I hope you hear me. I'm coming to talk to you. I need your help on this and the TPP. That's another one. Everything's related. We have to work together here. But his comments in this is just reflects suburbia and where I live. And as I talk to my neighbors, I'm really grateful that my neighbor Christy came with me today and when I went out and handed flyers out to come and be a part of this. But his words are just, he said, thank you for contacting me to share your views regarding the case of Leonard Peltier. I appreciate hearing your thoughts on this matter and welcome the opportunity to respond. Not serve, respond. As you know, Leonard Peltier was arrested on charges of the murder of 2 Federal Bureau of Investigation agents in 1976. The tragic shooting of FBI agents Jack Fuller and Ronald Williams occurred in 1975 on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. Joe he was the Native American that was also killed that day, and there's been no justice served for him, as Mr. Reichert does not say it all here. It says in 1977, Peltier was found guilty in the first 3 murders of these people, as we all know. He says, since his sentence began, supporters have asked that Peltier be placed on parole, be given clemency or a pardon by the President. A person to be placed on parole if the U.S. Parole Commission finds that the prisoner has not abided by prison rules, nor is the prisoner a threat to public welfare, and the granting parole will not detract from the offense committed. The President has the authority to issue pardons through Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution through this authority and is subject to certain exceptions. The federal government maintains that Peltier has refused to recognize his role in the murders. He didn't do them. Why would he recognize them? They play with their words all of the time. All of the time. And you just have to weed through them. They will play with these words. They need to speak simple English. It's just, look at this long letter. So he's in law enforcement. So Riker has basically said, he's showing no remorse. I'm not going to help you. Well, how are we supposed to have justice in this country? You taught me this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not getting the help that I need. I don't know what else to do. This is a great start right here. I brought the AIM, this AIM thing that my grandma made with me today, because we need to, on an everyday basis, not just this day, every day, check on our elders. It doesn't matter what color they are, not native. In the true spirit of AIM, let's make sure we're taking care of each other, all of us. We have to do it every single day, and I mess up all the time. But it's an ongoing learning process, and we have to struggle through it. And I just thank you guys for all being here. I'm sorry I'm taking so long. I just kind of wanted to share with you what I'm trying to do here, and it's not working. And all of these people have done it for years and years, and it doesn't work, so I don't know what to do. So we need to come together and come up with some ideas together. I'm in Kent. My house is open. We'll do it once a week. I'll put a Facebook event page up. You guys are all welcome. We'll have some fry bread and some food and try to break him out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Olivia. I like your little yelling thing. Your little loudspeaker thing. That's so cute.
We always need more help with some of the politicians in this area. I have a few more speakers. I'm going to have Anna come up, then Rita, then Pete Bomer, and I got everybody coming up. Do you want to say something more? Okay, here's Ramona. Never mind.
I liked your observation that we've been doing this all along, and we've got to keep doing it. But Robert Free had housing, and Roberto Maestas, who directed El Centro de la Raza, had a perfect parole plan for Leonard, because El Centro de la Raza was restoring muscle cars and antique cars, and Leonard's so old, those were the kind of cars he was working on when he got called and busted and locked up. And so this was put together as the perfect plan. Housing, clean, sober, structured, nearby housing, and employment. That's what a parole plan is supposed to be about. And so everybody did a very careful job of crossing all their T's, dotting all their I's, and it was sent to the parole board, who wiped their asses with it. Thought I'd let you know. It was, we were so hopeful. You know, Clinton was stepping out of office. Well, he stopped for a minute and exonerated all of his co-conspirators and his illegal activities, and then he was out of there.
I'm representing the Treaty Rights at Risk and Evergreen State College. I brought my relatives with me here. As a full circle, we have our elders and our children here with us. We come to, first of all, we sang our song to welcome our ancestors here, to bring them with us where we go. That we want to share with you what our teachings are, to stand up for who we are. We're talking about a ceremonial ground at Wounded Knee when Leonard and his relatives went up on the hill. They wanted to keep the sacred site. I was up there this summer visiting the Henry Red Cloud family. They taught me about the things that happened there. They talked about the things that happened with the things of the neighbors from Wyoming who come down to help support. We're here, we're talking about treaty rights and to practice our culture. We're here to talk about how we lost a warrior that's been encaptured for the last 39 years in jail. We're here to talk about to free him, and that our heart has been hurting these years and years and years. But what I come to bring you is, if they leave him where he's at, he will be a martyr forever. All of America, all of South America, all of Paris and France, everybody who is doing the Solidarity March, they're going to remember Leonard Peltier forever. Pine Ridge will be on the map forever because the Aboriginal people around the world suffer same as us. They have to go out without their language. They had to go without their food. They were taken, they got all their resources taken from them. Aboriginals in Hawaii, Aboriginals in New Zealand. The Irish people, they are not Aboriginals to us, but they were also taken. Everything taken from them. So what we're going to do, what Evergreen is going to do, is to start publicizing the injustice. Because sometimes the heartache will never be healed. Sometimes the scar is going to be on you forever. And this is what's going to happen in Indian country. We're going to remember Leonard Peltier forever. Back on Evergreen, we have Brian Redbone with KAOS, who has publicized this event. We have Robert Sataikum at KLAY, who has publicized this event. And what we need to remember is all of our treaty rights are at risk. Our culture could be fishing or hunting, our political warriors. It could be any of these. But we need to stand together. Here today, or on Facebook, on social media, that is the weapon of mass destruction, is the social media. And so what we come here, we come to give gifts for people to go out and to remember that Evergreen is going to keep you in our prayers, in our thoughts, and in our media. So I made this little purse here, or bag. Got a little horsetail. Got some earrings that are hunting earrings. They're little knives, and another bag. And if we can give it to can we have Arthur and Ramona Bennett? Is Ramona still here? Take Ramona. Oh. We got some earrings to give you. They're hunting earrings. Yeah.
You know, I'm a grader too. Go Ducks.
Natural parts because it's you know, they do calligraphy. It's a bachelor of art, but the F is really good to take. Even though it does like
And Leonard Peltier's son, Chauncey. And one is for your dad too. If you can mail it to him and let him know that Evergreen is praying for him and thinking of him. And we have this little horsetail keychain we like to give Steve here. Yep. So thank you, and I wanted to just leave you with the chant that police do when they need power, when they're on the water and they can't paddle no more and they're tired, and they have nothing left in them. But there's the landing is 5 miles away, and any of you who paddle, you know you're hurting and you're aching and you're tired, and you reach down inside and you have something to give, and that's what we sing, that's what we shout, that's what we're going to say for you right now is this chant. I'm going to say, we love, we love, we love, we. Then everybody else is going to say, whoa, hoo, hoo, hoo. Okay? We're going to do that 3 times because you need power to go on. You need strength to go on. You need to get to the other side and make it there safely. So we're going to leave you with that. We love, we love, we love we. Whoa! Woo, woo, woo. Now, is there anybody out there? We love, we love, we love we. Whoa! Woo, woo, woo. We love, we love, we love we. Whoa! Woo, woo, woo.
the mic even had to have its little reach down into the mic. I have a little bit of a change here. I see I'm getting tired of standing. I'm going to do what an MC does, and I can take out of the order of who's speaking when. I'm going to have Pete Bomer, another greener. Greeners are everywhere. I mean, I was a greener too in the 80s, so here's Pete Bomer.
Hi, I want to thank Arthur Miller, Steve Happy, Ramona Bennett, Sue Morales, and all those who organized this march and rally and worked so tirelessly and persistently for so many years for the freedom of Leonard Peltier. Persistence pays off. Leonard is an inspiration for strength and integrity for over 40 years as a member of the American Indian movement, as defender of the people and resource at Pine Ridge, and for 38 long years as a political prisoner. He's an inspiration for us, for people committed to environmental justice, to economic and social justice, and to the right to self-determination for Native people. We're out here for him. For Leonard's membership and leadership in the American Indian movement, he was targeted by the FBI and sent to life in prison in 1976 as a trial base marked by continual misconduct by the judicial system. The 60s and early 70s were a period of mass movements and hope that another world was possible. It was also a period of intense government repression, break-ins into houses, fostering divisions among peoples and groups, and actual assassinations. The most intense repression was against Black, Latino, and Native American activist groups such as AIM and the Black Panther Party. Much of the repression was carried out under the FBI's counterintelligence or COINTEL program, which officially ended in '71, but never actually stopped. A salute to the people who broke into the FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania in 1971, exposed the FBI's counterinsurgency. they've confronted last month. CETA just released an excellent book, The Burglary by Betty Metzger, on a successful action. Whites stood up for justice and solidarity with third world people, but people of color in today's language are also targeted by the government, although less mercilessly than people of color. For example, I lived in San Diego in the 70s and was active in anti-war organizing of GIs and civilians, community organizing against police brutality and developers from an anti-capitalist perspective. I was targeted by the FBI and San Diego Police Department and Nixon's Watergate team by being shot at, many arrests on false charges, imprisonment, losing my job, heavy infiltration by FBI and police agencies I worked in. I was a victim of COINTELPRO and some others from the 1960s, like Arthur Miller, whom I met over 40 years ago in San Diego, have continued to fight against repression and for justice. Don't let repression stop us. It's important that we build radical social movements and organizations that cross the generations. There are many issues of injustice and oppression today as there were in the 60s and 70s. We're living in a period of continuing high unemployment. 20 million people are unemployed. 1/8 of the white population is below the official inadequate poverty line. For Latinos, African Americans, Native people, the poverty line is officially more than twice that. On many reservations such as Pine Ridge, 50% of the population is below the poverty line. 1/3 of the world's people are poor and undernourished, although there's plenty of food for all. One hopeful and growing movement is the one for a $15 minimum wage. It's led by fast food workers. Winning this reform will come from us organizing, demanding economic and social justice, and building mass and grassroots social movements that connect the issues, not by begging those in power to do the right thing. More than 2 million people are in prison today in the U.S. Black and Native American Indians are more than 5 times more likely to be in prison than whites. And we're supposed to believe that racism has ended. Who are you kidding? 2 million immigrants have been deported from the U.S. during President Obama's term in office. 1,600 people are currently in prison at a private prison owned by the Geo Corporation, Northwest Detention Center, 16th J, a few blocks from here, most of them for the crime of crossing the border who want to work. Let us demand all immigrants have full rights and deportation to the so-called immigration reform bill that's being legislated right now in Washington, D.C. Sadly, if any legislation passed, it will probably further militarize the border and not give undocumented immigrants the right to citizenship. However, one important victory in the last 2 weeks is that Washington State, through the years of organizing, is now passed a law that will give all immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, the right to become eligible for Washington State financial aid for college education. That's the victory. Let's celebrate our victory. There's so much more to be done. Healthcare and public education are being gutted by state governments and the federal government who refuse to tax the wealthy with money for the military and prisons, but not for human needs. In Washington State, higher education is being privatized as tuition rather than public money covers most of the educational costs. Corporations have rights, but not poor and working people. The U.S. is involved in even more wars today than they were in the 60s and 70s. There's an environmental crisis as climate change and environmental destruction are happening as we're gathered here to demand Leonard's release from prison. Our society cannot go on as we've been with a capitalist economic system that sees human beings and the earth as things to be exploited for profits. A system based on war that's more and more dysfunctional for the great majority of people of the globe in the U.S., where inequality of income and wealth is growing daily under Republicans and Democrats alike. A system unsustainable and destructive for the earth and its people. We need to build social movements, people's movements that connect the issues of racism, of budget cutbacks, of mass incarceration, for a living wage, for climate justice, against war and militarism, for women's and immigrant rights, a movement that supports gay and lesbian and transgender liberation, that struggles against poverty and housing foreclosures, and to stop people being displaced from their land. that targets capitalism as the cause of all these insulated forms of oppression. Let's fight the power and struggle in ways small and big for different society. One I call participatory socialism, where human needs are put at the center, where everyone has meaningful and fulfilling work, where there's healthy food, free education, quality medical care and housing, where cultural diversity and equality and self-determination of reality, not meaningless rhetoric, where people have the power and corporate and capitalist power is ended. It's not that complicated. We can do it. Si se puede. In struggling for liberation, revolutionary change, and building social movements, we must never forget our political prisoners. I'm proud to say that every state college where I teach, as a result of student organizing, selected Leonard Peltier as graduation speaker in 1993 and Mumia Abu-Jamal as graduation speaker in 2000. Leonard's health is not good. I urge you to demand his clemency and get groups you know to support this right to request and ask your friends, neighbors, fellow students, co-workers to write letters to Obama demanding clemency. The word solidarity is meaningless unless we make it part of our daily lives and organizations supporting political prisoners and work for their freedom. Relatively well-known ones like Leonard and less well-known ones such as Lumumba Ford, button I'm wearing, a Muslim graduate from Portland who was sentenced to 18 years in prison in 2003 as part of the phony war on terror. He's committed no crime. Many thousands are targeted today for being Arab, being Muslim. Learn about Lumumba's Ford case. Check out the Jericho movement to learn more about Leonard Peltier and other political prisoners and the campaign for freedom. End the incarceration of immigrants in most prisons. Close Guantanamo, the special housing units. End solitary confinement. Stop the inhumane condition of prisoners. Free Leonard Peltier. Free Abu Jamal. Free all prisoners. Free ourselves. Thank you. Power to the people.
I really believe Leonard's getting out. I really do. What we did up there is we prayed a lot. Our creator, we call him Wadinchi, or Gigwabit. We prayed a lot and we did a lot of these things here. And we got our leaders involved. It was children, lots of women, our Native Corporation leaders, our grandmas, lots and lots of people involved. And we didn't let up. So it's kind of like this. You've got people working in the front, but they need a rest. And then the people that come in to relieve them need a rest. So we need to organize just a little bit more. I'd love to see a float in the annual parade in Seattle. But what I wanted to share was that there were 4 Athabascan Native men that were doing time for a murder that they were framed for. And we did a lot of education. How many of you guys have a tribal newspaper? Just a couple, okay? But we printed everything in there. Court papers, legal proceedings. We did just make a list that you could read between the lines. It was very detailed. And we educated our whole area. The area of our tribe within our region is size of California. So, yeah, there was a lot of different village newspapers, different regional papers. Our local city newspaper didn't really do much. They didn't want to print the truth. But when the guilty person came forward, and that's what we prayed. We prayed that there would be no rest for the wicked. There would be no rest for whoever behind this injustice. There'd be no peace in their soul until justice was done. And so we celebrated just recently in October of 2013 that these four young Athabasca men who did 16 years of time got released. And so, I know it's been a long time, but we have a strong belief in God. I'd say 99.9% of our people believe in Gigwadas, Creator Father, Wadinji, and we did lots of praying. So I just want to encourage you today, it's not over. I am excited about the future. And justice is going to start here and sweep across Native country from west to east. Anyway, thank you for your time.
My corporation in Alaska, Joyce Corporation, doesn't have that. I get our newsletters, didn't have anything about it, but they just talk about what new things we got in our corporation.
She wasn't in our region. The Athabascan people aren't down there in Anchorage. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we had a lot of Native lawyers working on this too.
Cool. Yeah, my husband is also from Alaska. He's from Southeast Alaska. He's been in prison since 1981. He only gets parole hearings every 4 years. He went in 1981, he went to prison for 15 to life for second-degree murder, which they don't even have his fingerprints on, and they deny his parole every 4 years. So I don't know if he'll ever get to come home, but we hope so. I'm going to have Matt come up here. I think he hopefully is still here. It looks like we're getting thinner and thinner, and I'm really glad that those that are still staying are doing this. Matt, something. Matt? Oh, shit.
Takia. Yuha Chante Washia Nabe Juzefelo. Our Kion Wanata Machiafelo. Charles Remley Ate Wayelo. Na Donna Harrison Ina Wayelo. Tokashila Wasantanka. Apiala Nena Piala Makuche. Wopida na Wayakayo. Na Piala Yate. Wayakayo. Atokashira Wakantanka, Apetukile Wopila Tanka. Chante Apo Unyapo. Na Apetukile Washioha. Atokashira Wakantanka. Leonard Peltier, Wana Inasha Fellow. Atokashira Leonard Peltier, Kiai. Wayakayo. Hello, my English name is Matt Remley. My Lakota name from Standing Rock, Wakion Wanatan, and my parents are Charles Remley and Donna Harrison. And first to give acknowledgement to the Gala people to their land here and ask that Tukashila watch over their land, watch over their nation. We come here to stand for Leonard Peltier and ask that Tukashila watch over him to help him and be compassionate for him. I'm with an organization called Natural Indians based out of the Dakotas. And we stand here to offer our support. And like the elders shared earlier about the man Leonard standing for the people, helping the people, and that's really what we try to do as well, just offering voice and support to the people. There's a lot of good words shared here today, nothing I can really add to what's already been shared, so instead I'd rather just offer a song of encouragement to those here, Leonard, and all our brothers and sisters, rocks out there, so God bless.
Yeah.
getting close to the end so that you don't have to freeze. I understand that already need to hit the road pretty soon, so we get started to get towards sundown. I think I have another speaker, I'm not sure. I think the cans have also gone around for donations. If anybody else wants to help us out with what it takes to put on one of these events, we have to pay for the parade permit, all the other weird fun stuff, and postage and copying and on it can go. I think I had Anna come back, Lisa, Arthur, Steve, all the speakers. I asked him if he wants to speak, and then I tell him to wait. This is Steve Happy, one of our committee members. Another greener. And then after that, it'll be James Old Coyote and doing a closing song of prayer. I'm not sure if you guys are going to go before you go or not.
Bonjour. Wabishke Mashkade Bishiki and Nini Indishinakas, Maingenido name. My name is Steve Happy. I'm with the Tacoma chapter of the Leonard Peltier Defense Offense Committee. I want to thank everyone. I want to especially thank the Puyallup Nation whose land we're on, their traditional lands. I want to thank everyone that came here from really far away, people that came from other states. We often have people come all the way from BC and far across the country, and just really want to extend appreciation to all of you for being here and sticking it out so long on such a cold day. I've heard stories of much colder days, after the trial, Leonard Peltier and that, where people would be in below zero temperatures in Washington, D.C., marching and rallying for Leonard. And I just want to thank all those who've gone before us, whose spirits are here with us today. There's a lot of people that, have passed on, that have been supporters of Leonard over the years, and I want to give thanks to their spirits for being with us today. I can really feel them today. And I really want to ask everyone to please continue to make those calls to the White House as often as possible. Make those emails to the White House, send letters, send faxes. Also research the case. You can, if you don't remember the website, you can Google Leonard Peltier's name, and one of the first hits will be whoisleonardpeltier.info. That's the official page right now for Leonard's case in the Defense Committee. And I ask you all to please research his case, even if you've been hearing about, I still hear details about the case. There's so much detail about the corruption and malfeasance of the United States government in this case that you'll never be done researching it. So, keep looking into it, watch Instant Oglala, read In the Spirit of Crazy Horse, read Leonard's book, Prison Writings, My Life is My Sundance. Just please keep researching this case and spreading the word to other people. I don't know if Eric Holder is listening. I don't know if any of his people are listening to this, but if they are, I'd like you to pass along a message to Eric Holder that as long as Leonard Peltier is kept in prison, we will be out here exposing your department. We will be out here exposing the corruption, the malfeasance of the United States government, and in particular the Justice Department. We will expose the collaboration of the United States government as the executive arm of the energy companies that cost the lives of so many Native people and cost the lives of those two FBI agents that lost their lives out in Pine Ridge, that they sent them out there. Those energy companies sent them out there. They are truly the ones that are behind Leonard's case. So all of you that are combating the XL pipeline, the coal trains, the corruption of Peabody Coal out at Black Mesa and Big Mountain, all of those, they're trying to stop energy companies from poisoning our air, our water, our food supply. All of you that are trying to stop the nuclear industry, think about this. The United States government has been collaborating with those energy companies. Your tax dollars have been used in a corrupt and murderous way. And you need to stand up and put a stop to this. It's time for real justice to happen and the Justice Department to be put on the spot. With that, I want to thank everyone and ask you to please go forth today and every day from now on, exposing this case, exposing that corruption. Thank you. All my relations.
I know you're getting cold and you're getting thinner and thinner. I want you to also look at each other and say hi to each other, but also to see if you do have vehicles this way to help piggyback other people that need to go get their car. I'd like James, Coyote and the Sacred Water Clear family to come up, please, and do a closing song, and then we'll have a closing song from Oregon if they can stay this long.
Good afternoon, friends and relatives. My name is James Old Coyote. This is my family here, our canoe family, Sacred Water. You know, it's an honor and a privilege to stand here with the people in this good way. I really want to hold my hands up to each and every one of you for your patience, for coming here and supporting this brother, this relative that's been sitting in that box for so many years. This little time out of our lives that we're suffering around a little bit right now. It's cold, you know, we're tired. We went on that little walk, you know. So just this time that we have together, this little bit of suffering that we're doing, to do our best to support and to send those prayers and that energy, that good vibe to our relative. Hold up his family, hold up the grandmas, the ones that are committed to this work. Thanking you today. Thanking you for inviting my family to come here and support the best way that we know how. Like I said, you know, it's an honor and a privilege to suffer for your people. It's the way my teachings are. It's what I've been taught my whole life. And, you know, just this little time, it's cold. You know, we're cold right now. But just to keep in mind what our ancestors went through so that we can be here today, so we can carry these songs, use these drums, use our language, these songs, these prayers. You know, they went through hell. They suffered. They got murdered. Little babies kicked around villages and whatnot, just so that we can be here today. Thanking those ancestors for that. So we want to offer up one song, you know, like everybody's been saying, you know, we know you're cold, you know, we don't want to take too much time. But before we sing this last song, you know, I just want to hold my hands up to each and every one of you, to the ones that were here earlier, to the speakers, to these relatives right here, these brothers and this sister that sit around this sacred drum. Thanking you for bringing your medicine. Thanking you for your commitment, for wearing those colors, for standing for your people. The song that we want to share, it's our family song. It's called Unity, One Heart, One Mind. This is in my mom's language, Hochamela. So in that way, we want to offer up this song and this prayer. Send it up there, asking the Creator to take that medicine, bless up our relative at this time, bless up Leonard at this time, his family, his son here that shared those words. Thanking you. This is Unity.
Remember you meet your mom and dad. Tell them his dad, Steve O'Coyote, was an inspiration to a lot, and I'm still a fan of him. Thank you guys for coming. Hopefully your trip back on to the peninsula is a 250 flight. You guys have to keep coming. These guys have 6 and 12 inches. Hockey had a foot and a half.